Today we are at Soho Houses 180, where I'm interviewing both Bottega Veneta and Merkle for the fantastic live story, where we're going to be discussing the need for seamless digital experiences in the world of luxury. The world of luxury buying has changed dramatically over the past few years. And of course, Bottega Veneta are probably one of the most secretive brands out there. So I feel incredibly lucky to be interviewing both Bottega and Merkle on the things that luxury fashion brands really need to be focused on in today's world. Thank you all for coming. I think everyone is very excited to hear from Bottega. I was just saying, I was having a conversation with everyone like, Bottega never usually talk. So this feels like a very special occasion. We've got a lot to share with you guys today, but I just want to kind of front things up before I introduce our lovely panelists today. I know I spend way too much money on not necessarily always luxury fashion, but definitely fashion as a whole. But the world of luxury specifically has changed dramatically, and the need for it to change has been huge over the past few years. In fact, I think, it differs depending on the kind of how luxury the brand is. And I think brands like Bottega, still the percentage of online revenue is still 5 to 10%, did we say?
No, it's like 11%.
So that's quite high. That's quite high. But actually, as a whole, yeah, it's good.
No, as a whole, it really depends on how we define luxury. So there are brands that can reach 25%. There are brands that on average can be 6, 7.
Yes.
We're now 11 considering not just the brand website, but also all the digital presence of the brand, right?
So it's changed a lot, because I think in store and of course the omni-channel, the whole experience needs to be considered. But I think there's been some seismic changes over the past few years, and digital is becoming much more important to the sector. And I think the overall stats are around 25% of luxury retail revenue now comes from online. So that's huge for the sector, and I guess one of the key things that we're going to dial into today. So on that, I am going to introduce my lovely guests. Francesca, I'm going to come to you first. Could you introduce, I guess, what you do at Bottega and a bit about your role?
Sure. So, hello everyone. I'm Francesca Riccibitti. I already know some of your faces, but I joined Bottega 3.5 years ago as a digital business director. So we're managing together with the team all the digital presence of Bottega Veneta, both on the .com, so bottegaveneta.com, the brand website, and the e-partners that we have. So like Net-a-Porter, Mytheresa, which are super reduced now because we decided to have a very selected distribution on that.
Ciao everyone, I'm Marta. I'm working in the e-commerce team at Bottega. I'm managing what we can define as a wider spectrum in terms of e-commerce, so everything that goes from the .com to omnichannel, operation, technology that we will mention today. It's been more than 8 years, so kind of a journey. We'll go into details maybe later on, and that's it. Thank you for being here today.
Amazing. Billy, last but not least.
Thank you. Thanks so much for being here today. I work for Merkle. We're a business technology and transformation company. My role is head of experience and commerce platforms. So there's 2 strands to that. One is we run and operate global commerce platforms and ecosystems for many clients. And the other part of that, I've had a passion around what we call content transformation or content supply chain, and getting better content out the door faster for our clients for many years. So I'm really excited to be here to talk about that, and also to see how the Live Story product and platform actually really complements that space.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to come straight back to you, Billy, because like I said in my introduction, the world of retail as a whole has changed fairly seismically over the past few years. The need for change, the need for speed, the need for people to be able to make changes and deploy more quickly is more prevalent than ever. I know you've got some quite interesting stats from your work across many, many brands at Merkle. What are some of the key things that you guys have seen in recent years?
Yeah, so to leverage data, every year we run a analysis across thousands of people globally, which we call our Merkle CX imperatives. And actually, in terms of consumer satisfaction, of everything that was asked, the 3 things which come and stand out at the top are personalised recommendations and sort of like offers, anything in and around the domain of exclusivity, so exclusive events, exclusive products, and then consistency of experience, like from every point. So that kind of sort of breaks down into two areas. I think personalisation is often talked about in quite a nebulous sense, but I look at it through the lens of activating personalisation through content and brilliant decision making to just make the experience more relevant, to make things flow better, and to make it feel like a sort of higher touch and a supported journey. And then the other piece is actually more the direct personalisation, something which actually feels like it's direct to you. And those, and especially for sort of high fashion, I think are related to like something which feels like a real value exchange between the brand and the consumer. And to activate those, you need content, you need great decision making within brands. And then the other part is the sort of consistency of experience, and the stats you talked about in terms of ranging between maybe 5% or 20% of overall revenue from an e-commerce perspective. Digital still has a huge role to play in supporting traditional sales channels. So consistency end to end. Connecting all the touch points, both from activating point of sale, activating the way in which the store feels, screens and display devices in store, mobile, the web, everything sort of up front, pre and post. And then just finally, I will talk to the difference between the sort of pre and the post conversion point. So quite often there's a different way and a different levels of consistency of experience in terms of getting to the point of sale, but actually much of the friction and tension that happens with consumers is actually unsatisfactory experience in fulfillment and subsequent. And our research has also identified that 32% of consumers will walk away from a brand they love after one bad experience, which is kind of terrifying. So to think about the consistency both from a channel and then an end-to-end perspective is what we're real proponents of.
Amazing. And it's so true. I mean, I've experienced that this week. I'm not going to say because I actually think the brand might be in the room, but where I tried to return something and it's been really difficult. But I don't think it was the brand's fault. I think it was to do with InPost, to be fair. But it does. Those small little micro things really influence how you think about the brand. So really important that you can take control of all elements. Now, Bottega.
Also because I think what is changing, I will pick what Billy was saying. I believe 100% that what we need to focus on now is the consistency and making sure, this word that we heard so many times, omni-channel thing, however you want to call it, is every day more true in the sense that we need to make sure that the 50 million users that are coming to our website every year are the same one, like a small part of them is the same one that is going to our stores. So we need to make sure that they find digitally a complement to the overall experience that they have in the store, and that they can find coherence, they find the same communication, the same way of communicating, which is not always easy, because when you have a sales assistant talking to people, it's much easier than, of course, through a website, right? So I think we're moving from something that was purely transactional, that doesn't make any sense, that doesn't make sense anymore, to something that needs to be engaging. So we need to engage them and bring them in a journey that can start in the store, continue on the website, finish in the store again, or whatever, because in the end, it's not important. The percentage of sales, of course, is important. Unfortunately, we have it in our objectives, but it's important that in the end, you have the client that is completing the purchase, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that we complement the physical experience that in the end, for a brand like ours, it's not true for every brand, but for a brand like ours, we really want that they go to the store and they really feel and experience the product, to touch the product in the store. So digital needs to complement that, needs to make sure that all the touch points are coherent. And this is where we're going, I think. Engaging the customer always more. They don't want to go there, buy, and that's it. They need to be engaged. And for this, we need assets, we need content, blah, blah, blah. We'll speak about that maybe later specifically, but I think this is the way this is where we're going.
Yeah, our expectations are at all-time high. I want champagne when I'm coming in the store, you know. On that,
Online, you cannot have champagne.
No, I mean, I could pour it for myself, but it's not the same. On that, I just wanted to kind of, I guess, obviously Bottega have made some very, bold decisions in the past. No social media, for those of you that don't know. Could you, just before we get into the nuts and bolts of all the amazing things we're going to discuss around digital personalisation, speed to market, AI, just give us a little bit about kind of Bottega's values and kind of core beliefs when it comes to digital and the brand?
I mean, this is like storytelling for us, and so being able digitally to express what we think, how to engage the customer and so on is even more important because as you rightly said, I think 5 years ago, more or less, 4 or 5 years ago, our CEO decided to, together with the creative director, to exit from all the social media, right? So we don't have social media as a way of communicating to the customer. So I think that the website in the end is the biggest window that we have. As I was saying, we have 50 million users per year. And it's the best way where you can communicate to the customer. You can tell them why they should buy an 8K bag or how to excuse such high price, because in the end our average order value is more or less 2K now. So every time a customer is coming to the website or in the store, they know that they're not going out spending 100 euros probably. So storytelling is even more important. So how can you explain digitally and without traffic coming from social media and everything else? How can you are you able to explain both the heritage of the brand and why they should buy or be interested in one of your products? So this is where I think in our case the website is even more important as communication. Yeah. In the end is the biggest window that we have externally towards our customers.
Well, that's my next question. You've led me in beautifully there. Thank you. What was the moment that you guys realized that you needed to make some major changes to the website because it was holding you back? Marta, I'm going to come to you on this one.
I mean, we had to maximize the website, as we said. So, as you might know, we are part of a big group. So that was one of the main constraints, because when you're part of a group and you're sharing some, let's say, services and piece of the website that you have with other brands, the timing to get things done are pretty long, very, very long. So we have had experiences where from the moment we share the brief, it could take really up to 9 months to get things. Maybe, if we were lucky. We are still waiting for some things to happen for the brief that we shared 5 years ago. And this, of course, was the trigger for us to say, okay, we can't do this way anymore. So we had to find a solution. We had to find more flexibility, because, of course, also creative teams, in the moment that they realize that they have 5 or 6 months to wait to see things coming to real life, of course, it was an alibi for them to say, okay, but maybe let's wait for this one. We will take some more months to evaluate and to design and redesign. So flexibility and timing was really the main keys for us to push for a different solution, and that's why we had to find a different way to manage content, and that's why we decided to go to an external partner. So that's why we're here to speak with Live Story as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? We've all been frustrated, I'm sure most of us in this room, when you've got beautiful creative assets, you've got ideas, you want to make changes, but your platform is not enabling you to. Yeah. So I guess that's my next question is around what has it enabled you to do from a storytelling point of view? What have been those big changes?
But I think that we've had some, very, very different kind of examples in terms of storytelling. So from the way that we share content, like the fashion shows, for example. We just had the last fashion show where we were able to create something that would have been a dream if I think about years ago, for example.
In 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks. Wow. So I had someone in the team that was designing the entire experience, and we were able to see it live really in days. So instead of having the statics modules that we would have been capable of using just through the standard structure, we were able to create something dynamic, to have carousels, to have videos, to have interaction for the users, possibility to switch from one kind of content to the other. So looks, details of the looks, quotes, text. So it was really bold for us to see this kind of content being very different from what we've always been using.
Yeah, and I guess for the team as well, like the positivity, I'm guessing, across the business in terms of, you know, what's it meant for the team in terms of their creative freedom? Has it truly given them, you know, rather than, you know, these backwards, forwards, 3 months before anything?
Of course, everyone is way less frustrated than how we used to be before, because you know, working with such long timings it's not helping anyone. So UX and UI teams, of course, they're way capable of doing things that they were not able to do before. So they work way closer and way quicker with creative teams. Creative team is very happy because they can decide to do something, and also we're able to test and try. So we try to do something, then we see if it's not working. Okay, we change it in a super quick way instead of saying, okay, we shared the brief A, but now it's not working, so we need to share again brief B and then wait for brief B to be done. So of course, I mean, everyone is really benefiting from the new structure, and we see the differences.
I want to make sure we stress this concept, because it was really game changing for us last year, in the sense that I mean, many of you know, if you work for a luxury brand, creative departments are super strict. I mean, everything we put on the website needs to be approved. I mean, we receive the assets from them, and then we create the pages, and they need to approve it even afterwards. So it's a process that is taking a lot of time. And they need to feel responsible for what we are communicating in the end. So having them happy and reactive and seeing that they can, like, having the concept of having creativity directly on the website without going through the code, without going through the group, made a huge difference in the mood, in the way we work, in the testing phases. So we tested so many things with the things we had that before were not absolutely something that we couldn't think about. So this really made the difference in the way we work.
But also for us, maybe if we want to try sometime to do something that is a bit more commercial, let's say, and it's just not just purely
commercial
creative. Commercial is banned, of course. Let's not record this one.
We're not commercial, of course.
But at least it gives you the possibility to say, okay, let's give it a try. If it's work, we keep it. Otherwise,
yeah. I was actually reading an article about this last night from Gary Vee, but about the importance of us. You know, we all, especially I think in luxury, this is for everyone. It's important in retail, but especially luxury retail is, you know, the idea of perfection. It's almost a little bit like TV. Like nothing can go out until it's perfect.
It is like this.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, you know, in today's world, we have the ability to test and try, and actually. Sorry, I've had a horrible cold recently, so I keep choking. But actually in today's world, being able to get things out there and test and learn and gain customer feedback a lot more quickly does enable you to get ahead, because, you know, what we can all discuss and I'm not saying that this is necessarily what you guys are doing, but, you know, it's all well and good us all, you know, having our forum within the business and discussing, you know, is this the right thing? But you're never going to get as good answers if you actually put it out and you see how the not you guys aren't on social media, but how the post performs, how the content performs, you know, that's the reality. And sometimes it not being perfect, it's fine. You'll learn from that. You'll change for next time. So I was going to ask how that plays out for you guys at Bottega. Like, I'm not saying that you're putting everything out live, but are you able to push boundaries a little bit quicker in terms of what goes out, or, you know, things going out differently to they were before?
Yeah, definitely yes. Also because being the responsibility, let's say, on our side and not on someone else within the group, we can directly show internally what would be the results. They can already comment, and also the back and forth is way quicker. So, and
I think this led to less boundaries also, because I think internally you were perceived like the tech team, no? Because when we need to develop something, but I've nothing, like I'm not a tech person, but then in the end you're perceived as the one that has issues in being able to express what they want to express, or it takes too much time, so they get frustrated. So this really, I think, I don't know, I don't want to say that it we don't have boundaries anymore, but for sure we're working much more closely. And they feel closer to the technology probably.
Yeah.
So they feel like, okay, we can do it as well.
Yeah. More empowered.
Yes.
I think the boundary point is really interesting actually, because traditionally commerce platforms would be set up and they had very structured processes, homepage, PLP, PDP, buy basket, etc. And actually that was often to the detriment of actually the experience and the brand story. And in many organisations those elements are still quite separate and quite different. So the commerce site is completely oriented to getting people to a funnel, to the detriment of the storytelling and the richness of content. So it's a great journey that you're on.
Now, Billy, I'm coming back to you with a question that cannot be avoided in any panel, podcast. Of course, I'm going to be talking about AI next. How is AI transforming commerce? You guys are working with a lot of different brands. What are you seeing?
So I look at AI from three different lenses. One is AI as it relates to how you operate and how you work internally. So the bottom 4/5 of the iceberg. AI in terms of things that you give to your consumers and your customers, and then AI as it relates to the tools that are out in the ether that you don't have direct control over. I'll talk about the first two actually, just for the purpose of keeping myself brief. But on the first one, in terms of how we work and operate, and if you look at content, I talked about the work I've been doing in the sort of content supply chain space for some time. AI has got such a sort of role around automating stages and processes through that, and it's not just a case of prompting and getting some net new image or video or asset. It's around the QA process and the quality process, having AI at that stage. And for a highly brand conscious audience, as I think probably everyone in this room would be, high consideration purchases, you need to be very careful about how your brand is represented, and essentially also very much so how your products are represented as well. So it's not necessarily a case of unlocking the bottleneck around brand net new content. The bottleneck is often just those sort of variations and adaptations which drive the personalisation agenda, but also make content richer. Leveraging video is often cost prohibitive, but now AI is making things more ROI positive in terms of what you can do. Video is can have sort of approximately like 10 times better conversion engagement than static content. So, and the reason why it's not done is because it's because it's been expensive and time consuming. And then also the speed to get things out the door, being able to test things, time to market becomes a real differentiator with respect to that. And then the other side of things I was going to talk to is like AI as it relates to tools we give to our consumers and customers. And we've leveraged AI in terms of how we kind of build tools to help people select products. And then there's obviously the use case around customer support and the sort of typical kind of like chat support, which is actually a real sort of growing area as well. But to support all of these, and to quote Werner Vogels, who's the Chief Technology Officer of AWS, no data, no AI, and content is data, so no content, no AI. If you don't have something to drive it, you won't be able to run those AI tools over the top.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, we're all obsessed with AI. It's changing what we can do quite dramatically. And of course, Bottega also have some AI projects going on. Are you ladies able to share any of the things that you're exploring at the moment?
We're doing some tests, let's say.
Yes.
No, we're doing some tests in the sense that we already implemented something and we can already see some results. Of course, we will never come to the point where the entire website is fully personalized or fully created with AI. So we started with small chunks, let's say. First one being the search. So let's say that the native structure in terms of search that we used to have was not really performing well. So we integrated something else based on AI, which is currently working way better than what we used to have before. And the other test that we are currently doing is related to the content creation. So we are evaluating to have a sort of packages of content created with what we are already doing in terms of still life and models, shots, etc. But with that, having an output that is different and of course way more engaging than a still life and then a static image that we already have everywhere on the website.
I believe especially in this last content creation, we really have a lot of things we can do. As we were also saying before in the other room, we need to be very careful in the sense that image is super important, so guidelines and so we need to make sure that everything that is created on top of what we already have is very well digested. So I think we have something to do. As an objective for the team this year, we need to have something implemented, like 2 or 3 projects on AI implemented. Last year we also did a test that maybe you didn't mention. We tried to it didn't work well, but it's okay. We tried to have we had the chat, the chat inside embedded in the website that was AI, purely AI driven. No, we still have a product that is a bit too complicated to be managed by AI, but I think
train it very well to be able to get the results
so we were
that you
not
wish
able
to
to train it probably properly, so it's nice. We did a try. We maybe try next year with another technology. It will work better. I don't know. So there are many things that we can do differently for sure with AI, not substituting still what is important for the brand, and that is really giving the brand identity and the brand DNA.
Yeah,
that's impossible.
I think that's what's hard as well, is there's so many technologies available to try and find the ones that are going to be right for you, that are going to work for you. This isn't a question. I told you I'd go off piece slightly. But how do you guys stay abreast? Because it's hard, right? I mean, obviously coming to events like this and hearing about amazing things other brands are doing, but how did you find Live Story? How do you go to find the technologies that are going to help you on the next step of your journey?
I think we identify which are the issues that we know. I mean, we don't have to identify them. We know where there is some, also AI, I didn't mention it, but also in terms of saving money, I think is something that can say one of the reasons why we will need to use it is to save money that we spend, and we will spend them alternatively with some other technologies that can help do more interesting journeys. I don't know. I mean, we know which are the pain points that we have. We know which are the areas we want to explore. We talk to many people. We love seeing. We do a lot of benchmarks. We look at the other websites. Then it's a pretty small world, so we talk to each other a lot. And that's it.
Make friends with each other. There's going to be some conversations happening shortly, I'm sure. Another question, kind of on this topic, is. These stats really shocked me, actually. 80% of brands think they deliver great experiences, yet only 8% of their customers agree. What do we need to do to bridge that gap? That's to all of you. Anyone who
you can get Live Story.
Yeah, use Live Story. There we go. Easy. But yeah, I guess what is it that needs to be done? Speed of experience? Like, why is there such a disparate difference between what brands think they're achieving, yet what customers experience?
I would start listening to your customers, looking at the data in terms of what they're telling you. Why is there that delta? That's absolutely the first place to start. But the root cause that we typically find is often technology enablement, but really just in terms of how businesses and brands are kind of set up in service of the customer. I think siloed ways of working is always one of the challenges that we find, and solving that and thinking with a customer first mindset is the place to start. Absolutely.
Fab. Now, to close off the AI discussion, we have had a lovely question in from someone in the audience, and I think they're here today, from the Customer Experience Director, Joanna at Beauty Pie, who is interested in the use of AI and how you guys are using it and when you're choosing not to use it. So are there any specific things that you guys have tried, I guess at Merkle for your customers, for your clients, and within Bottega that it's not working for?
I think that the example that we mentioned before was really a trial for us. It was already a couple of years ago. And again, the level of result that we got was really not meeting the brand tone of voice, brand expectation, etc. So, I mean, that would be on the negative side. And then on the positive one, we think that really there can be a word that you can explore in terms of gaining, in terms of experience, savings, new content, and everything that you can unlock.
That was exactly why we tried, and then we stopped it, because it would have been the customer saying, "I'm not satisfied with the experience." I mean, it's exactly what you said. Well, what is important is to put always yourself first in the shoes of your customer and try to see what you would think inside the experience. This is it. I think this is the all important thing of what we do every day.
Be the customer.
Yeah, and I would say, well, from our business, we've got strategic partnerships and work very closely with the likes of AWS and Google and Microsoft. The industries and the areas that are really leading on this agenda. But we're keeping track and tabs of all the sort of AI as it's being released by those platforms and those businesses and other things adjacent to it. But the other thing would be a bit more of my motto with respect to AI. And my motto with respect to AI, which I sort of adopted and been taken on board since about middle of last year, is don't talk about it, be about it. And it's really easy to pontificate about where it's going and what it's doing and create decks about this topic or that topic, but until you've actually used it in anger, you don't know how it works within your processes. You don't really know whether the outputs are going to work for you. They might work for someone else, but they might not work for you. So yeah, that would be my one takeaway with respect to the topic.
Love that. Now,
and it's huge.
It's
talking about AI means almost nothing.
Everything. It's everything, isn't it? That's the thing. It touches so many elements of the business. So my last question for each of you is around the future of digital experiences. So what I want to know is, what advice would you give other luxury leaders who are in the audience today, who are still trying to build for tomorrow, but having to use legacy foundations? Like, what's the one big takeaway for today for everyone?
I would say, playing on what we were saying before, trying to be independent as much as possible, independent from coding, if possible, independent from being able to be really creative with what you have, without being fast and being responsive to what the customer really needs. Because now, if you're not responsive and you're not able to create this coherent experience across all the touch points, you fail 100%.
Yeah,
and I think coherent, but also personalized, because as of today, with the amount of data that we share, and I mean, brands know almost everything about the customers. The customer is really expecting to get a personalized experience. So it's not possible that in 2026 I go to the website and everyone is seeing the same content, the same products, and the same version of everything. So I'm really expecting to find something that is tailored for me, as I would find in the store.
Yeah,
and then. So I think most of the topics I would say to this have already been mentioned. I think what I think I'm considering looking 6, 12, 24 months ahead is actually the growth of the topic around agentic commerce, and we could have an entire half-hour discussion about that. But if you look at a scenario where people are moving to buy products or research products in areas and channels that you have no control over as a brand, that presents a real sort of risk but potential opportunity there as well. And I'd also look at it through the lens of high consideration, low consideration purchases. So you need to, where customers are in your channels and are connecting with you and are in your store, I think that's going to need to work harder and define you more as a brand. And to take Bottega Veneta or many of the other brands in this room, there's in many cases your products can be bought from numerous places. So there's also a big opportunity where AI is kind of making selections, is to actually be essentially the location that traffic is sort of driven to. But I think it's probably less significant an impact from a high consideration purchase perspective, and more of a risk from a low consideration purchase.
Yeah, I heard something the other day. I was interviewing I want to get her job title right, GM of luxury at eBay, and she said most people, or the stats show that most people buy luxury brands for the first time secondhand, and then come, maybe they buy their first Bottega bag on eBay or wherever, Vinted, whatever platform they're going for. How do you guys consider that in your purchase? I mean, I guess you don't have so much control over it. It's just about the product, right? Because the journey to Bottega is going to be different for everyone, I guess.
It is different.
You can't control it. No, it's just about having a good product.
You can't control the customer.
Exactly. It's about the good product. Fab. So I want to close out the official panel. Thank you guys so much for sharing so much. Really appreciate it. We've had loads of questions, so I'm not going to ask all of them, but I'm going to start with a couple of them, and then I'm going to open to the floor. So please do raise your hand, and we'd love to. I'll mention who's asking the question. This will go on the podcast, so if you don't want it on it, please tell us. So first up, I have got a question from the digital personalisation team at Harrods. Everyone talks about personalisation in the digital journey, but internally it can be hard sometimes to align teams and expectations. How have you navigated those internal challenges while still moving forward with personalisation?
That's the point that I mentioned before. So we are not really at that point. It's something that we need to build on for sure, because I think it's mandatory as of today. So.
It's important.
It's clearly one of the pillars of the digital experience that we see in the future. Still, the perfect recipe and the perfect ingredients, we still don't have them. So it's a very good question.
Yeah. Billy, any answers?
I think personalisation is more than just one thing as well. It's to sort of acknowledge that. So there might be there's personalisation in terms of making the journey better and more relevant in the moment, but then there's personalisation as that kind of direct thing you want to explicitly say to someone. But I think it ultimately goes back to owning and being customer centric and organising around the customer and the customer's needs and intent, rather than necessarily thinking of personalisation that is owned by one part of the business or is different between how it's done on commerce or in store or on the app or via media.
Yeah. Expectations are high as well. I mean, Amazon have ruined it for all of us. And my last question before I open to you guys is from Sula, the head of e-commerce at Alexander McQueen. How does Live Story help Bottega? We have to ask a Live Story question, so thank you. How do they help you guys, I guess, overcome some of the challenges, and what's changed since you've started using Live Stories?
As we said, we gained a lot. We gained velocity, we gained the possibility of having new content, new pages. You can really think without boundaries. So if you have a team that is capable of designing, you no longer need to design within the tools and then go and create a code and then go get the code within the system. So you can directly go from the designing directly on the website. So that's really the main benefit.
You can get stuff done. That's the key. Okay. Do we have any other questions? We do. Look at that. I love it when that happens.
Hello. I head up digital at a brand called D1 Milano. It's a watch brand. And I'm interested to understand, because obviously using Live Story across the whole site for everything is, I guess, it's possible, but it's also maybe not necessarily what you want to do. You want to have a mixture of like custom templates and like, drag and drop styling. Mm-hmm. I'm just interested to what extent you guys use Live Story and where specifically on the site.
Good question.
In an ideal world, I would love to be able to use it for the entire website. Of course, I'm not able to do it. I mean, we have sections where you don't have some room, no? So, for example, cart and checkout, of course, there you can't really work. Where you can dig a bit more, of course, it's home pages, it's galleries. So, for example, instead of having very static galleries with just the products and products and products loading forever, we're now breaking the content to add editorial assets, to do cross-selling. For example, we are now pushing charms on the back galleries or personalization within the small leather goods galleries. So it's really, you have different views. Of course, it's not the entire website, but you can really leverage it for different use cases. I don't know, we also created on top of the fashion show a page with our heritage, the world of services, where again, instead of being just the explanation with text and images of what are the services and everything, it's a bit more engaging. So you have accordions, you have things moving, you can have carousels.
And that hasn't affected your like page performance or anything like that? Like,
No, not at all.
Interesting.
No.
Any more for any more?
I've got one. Sorry, Josh from Mac Fashion. So I just wanted to ask around, obviously, the rise of agentic AI and the focus on such an iconic brand such as Bottega. How do you guys see the control plane of your brand and how that's being represented? Because I guess that's a really tricky thing for AI to perceive. So are you doing anything to maximize your iconicness of your brand to the audience?
As I think, as Billy was saying, and with the examples we made before, AI to me means almost nothing because it's huge. So AI, I mean, the group is starting to use AI for everything that is related to merchandising planning. We'll use AI for everything that is content creation, possibly in the next months. Of course, always with the boundary of having the brand identity kept. So in any case, the last word and the last, I don't see a threat in that at all. I just see an opportunity. You need to be able to find the right opportunity for you, for a brand, for saving money, for whatever you need. But absolutely, I don't see a threat, because in any case, the last word and the last there's always a person in the end that is uploading the content, and there's always a person that is deciding which is the right picture. So I just see opportunities.
You're mentioning around decision not to go down the social media route, but some of the numbers recently look really compelling. So you look at TikTok, for example, they're just shy of 90 billion GMV for 2025, 125% increase last quarter. They actually surpassed eBay in
Don't
terms
even
of
tell
GMV
me.
sales.
I'm aware.
Yeah. I guess so. Are you looking to kind of, the space is very different now than it was
It's very
2 or
different.
3 years ago. Is it something that you're...
Yeah, of course, but we are in a moment where I don't want to say transitional, or I don't know how to call it, but we changed creative director. She just had the last second show, so like 6 months ago we changed creative director. We are changing our CEO in the next month. We have person just arrived being the new marketing director, so I'm 100% sure that this would be at least reconsidered. Then I don't know if they will change the position, but I'm sure this is something that is going to be on the table again.
Another big round of applause. Thank you so much, guys. You shared so much.